Such a beautiful, powerful story. You can just hear as you're listening to that, the mind and the heart of Jesus. What a brilliant genius Jesus really was in so many ways. I often say like his use of analogy and allegory was brilliant beyond any literary scholar. He was amazing, Jesus. So let's just take a look at this story. Let's break it down a little bit. So we have this younger son who's discontent. He's not happy. He's like nothing's ever enough for this guy. There's always some problem. He's gonna try to find what he feels is missing, and he believes that what's missing can only be found outside of himself. And so he goes to the father. Imagine this, when you go to your father and you say, give my inheritance to me now, it's almost like he's saying, I really can't wait for you to die. I want it now. And notice the father doesn't say anything. You want half of your inheritance? Here you go. He doesn't say don't go. He doesn't say you're making a big mistake. He just says, okay. But you can just imagine the disappointment and the broken heart of the father that this son comes and says, I wish you were dead. I want your money. And yet the father, like love does, love always is free. Love doesn't hold on. Love doesn't cling. Love doesn't try to control. You want your money? Okay. Even though you're breaking my heart right now, go. And it's almost like the father is also saying, I'm always going to be with you. I don't even know if you're going to come back. I don't know if you're going to find out one day that you're dead. But it's the risk I got to take. It's the risk that love takes where it's always free. I don't really know what's going to happen. I'm going to be vulnerable. And so he goes off and he spends all of his money. He wastes it all, squanders everything. And then all of a sudden he comes to these dire straits. And he comes back to the father. And he's got a speech prepared for him. I'm willing to work as your hired hand. I'll do anything. I'm starving. I'm looking at the food that the pigs are eating is becoming attractive to me. He's got this whole speech prepared. And as the story says, the father actually comes out to meet him. He says, I'm not interested in your speech. I'm not interested in your explanation. I'm not interested in anything other than you're here. I'm not even interested in knowing that you didn't even come back for the right reason. You're only coming back here because you're broke and you got nowhere else to go. The father says none of that. Break out the fatted calf, break out the filet mignon, the Chateaubriand, the $200 bottles of wine. We're going to have a party. My son lost himself and has returned. He was dead in his mind and his heart. And he's alive again. And that's all the father cared about. But when you look at the son coming there, he's got this speech prepared. He's ready to go in there. And it's almost like saying, he's returning. But he doesn't know the Father. He's not connected. He doesn't get the Father. He's ready to throw himself at the mercy of the court. I'll do anything. I'll work as a hired hand. I don't care what. Just let me have something to eat and something I can lay down and go to bed. He doesn't get it. He's disconnected from the Father. He's not grasping the love, the magnitude, the majesty, the depth of love of the Father. He's returning, but he's not quite home because he's disconnected from the Father. And then as the story goes, there's the party going on. The older brother finds out about this, and the older brother comes back and says, what the heck is going on here? You got to be kidding me. I've been loyal and faithful. It says I've slaved for you all of these years. The older brother's not home either. He never left, but he never was home. He never was able to enter into that state of being called home. I've slaved for you. What do you mean you slaved for me? I'm your father. What do you look at me as the boss? And I'm always telling you what to do, and you better not step out of line, one false move. So you're going to be loyal and faithful and dutiful and do all the right things. You're never going to step out of line. Why? Because you're afraid, God forbid, you do something wrong, I'm going to reject you and abandon you? Is that why you're being so loyal and faithful? You're always doing the right thing? Because underneath the right thing is you're afraid. You slave for me. I'm your father. The older brother is disconnected too. The older brother doesn't get it. He's not grasping this father saying, everything I have is yours. But it's right for us to celebrate. Why? Why would you be resentful? Why are you not celebrating that your son has returned? What is this resentment in your heart, this anger? You're playing small in life. Where's the love? Why all this judgmentalness and this resentment? This father. What do you think? You think of yourself, the prodigal son, the older brother. I know a lot of times, I think about when I was a priest, I used to go to the hospital and there would be the doctors and the nurses and all these people in their fancy cars and I'd be in there as the priest and thinking I feel like when I'm a priest, I come in there and say a couple prayers. Thanks, Father. I felt like what I was doing wasn't all that important. I didn't really honor and value what I was offering to people when I was 28 and 29 years old. My friends, we're going to a mortgage. We got this home and then we're going to have this place. And I got an arm. I didn't even know what an arm was, an adjustable right motor. I didn't even know. I didn't even know what the Mac machine, how do you do the Mac machine? I've learned. I know, barely. But when I think back of it, I think that, there was a part of me as a priest where I kind of felt like I'm schlepping along here year after year after year, $2 an hour, working as a priest. And I don't think I valued it. I don't think I appreciated it as much. Not that I left the priesthood because of that, but I think there was a part of me that was thinking what am I really doing with my life? I didn't really appreciate it as much. And then as I left and got married and had a home and a child and everything like that, and we all know owning a home seems like such a great idea at the time, right? Chopping down trees and getting U-Hauls and bringing them in and all the stuff that goes with that. And you come all the way around, you know what I mean? And obviously when there's the love being married and there's a love having children and you acquire certain things and everything like that. But when you really look at it at the end of the day, certainly the material things mean absolutely nothing, And now I sort of like, come full cycle, and I realize like, that I didn't think this out. That there was like a calling that like I've got to accept this is what I was supposed to do. And I feel like I've come all the way around. I feel like I'm like that prodigal son that comes around. It's like, I didn't think this was going to happen. But I've come full circle of realizing like it's really all about love. It's really all about coming here and coming together as a family and helping each other to grow and to deepen. Not grow and deepen like we want to have like 500 people, but that we grow and deepen within ourselves. That we've been called, and we want to help each other and challenge each other. That we're not going to like squander our gifts. You all have gifts to give here, and we're going to call each other and challenge each other. We're not going to squander those gifts and recognize what's really, really important. So I don't know, like you identify with the prodigal son or the older brother. I mean, certainly in a lot of ways too, like I don't know, have you ever been judgmental? Right? That's that older brother. I'm a little bit, when we're being judgmental, we're kind of saying like, well, you're stupid and I'm smart. You're wrong and I'm right. And I'm judging you, right? It's always nice to have a hallmark on truth, right? Ourselves. So we can identify with both of those, right? In a lot of ways, to put ourselves in that story. There's a famous painting by Rembrandt. He wrote, it was 8 feet by 6 feet of the Return of the Prodigal Son. And Rembrandt, he painted this painting in 1665. And Rembrandt was a real son of a gun. When he was younger, he was very popular. He was a good-looking guy. He was painting for everybody in Amsterdam. And he was very, very wealthy and living the life. And he was also a little arrogant. And one thing led to another, where his son died, then his daughter died, then a second daughter died, then his wife died. This guy was brokenhearted. And he got so upset, he could not paint anymore. He was depressed and broke. And out of that brokenness, he paints this masterpiece, The Return of the Prodigal Son. And in this painting, the youngest son is kneeling, but he has like this sword, this sheath in his side. He's got one shoe, he's got one sandal, one barefoot. He's completely broke, the prodigal son coming back, kneeling before the father. But they say that this sheath, it reminded the prodigal son of his dignity. He had that. He lost everything. But the sheath reminded, I'm my father's son. I'm never going to lose sight of that. And he's kneeling there, and the older brother is standing next to it in the darkness in the painting. And the father is this old guy, almost blind. And the father has two hands. One is the hand of a father, of a male, and the other is the hand of a woman, of a mother. And the father is embracing this younger son with the strength of the father, the male, and the love and the nurturing of a woman. The totality of God, all of that embracing and loving. And so we think of that, and we think of like Nouwen Henry Nouwen was a famous writer, and he would he went to St. Petersburg, and he saw this painting. He sat there in front of this painting for hours, looking at the thing. And he too had become depressed and was upset over things. And somehow he hears this thing of saying, like, that he's the prodigal son. He could see that. And he could see also that he was the older brother, where he was resentful. He stayed a priest the whole time, loyal to everything in the church. And I think the church had let him down in a lot of different ways, but he remained faithful. And he was struggling through all of that. And what emerged from this meditation of looking at this painting of the return of the prodigal son was the line where Jesus, when he's baptized, and he hears this line, he hears this voice. You are my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased. And he got out of that, and he said, the rest of his ministry was going to be constantly communicating to everybody. First of all, he had to recognize that he was the beloved son. Jesus says, as the Father has loved me, I have loved you. As I have come to recognize that I am the beloved son, you must recognize that you are the beloved son. You are the beloved daughter of the living God. To recognize that and know that God's not interested in your speeches, in your explanations, where you've been, what you've done, whatever. All God cares about is everybody here saying, I am going to let myself be loved by the living God. I'm going to let myself be that beloved daughter and that beloved son of the living God. You say that like where our Catholic Christianity, it's not about you loving God. Our Catholic Christianity, the quality of your discipleship is directly related to, are you allowing yourself to be loved by God? And when we can do that, when we can do the world the greatest favor in the world is to recognize that you're the beloved, then what you can do is you can then step into being like the Father, where you can embrace the people in your life and you can love them and you could bring them to their greatness and their magnificence by the way that you love them and embrace them. And allow them to be exactly who they are. They're doing that perfectly, by the way. Wouldn't it be great if we could let all the people in our life be who they are? Wow. To be this I am. And when we can do that and allow ourselves to be loved and then return that to other people, and we get connected to that, then we experience what it means to truly return and to be home